investigation that was led by my organized retail crime team. And this investigation began in October of last year, and it involved the TDA. This is a very violent Venezuelan gang. This gang originated out of the prisons in Venezuela. It's recognized in the United States as not only an organized gang, but they're also recognized as an organized terrorist organization. Now, you watch the national news and you think, oh, that's something that happens someplace else. But I can tell you that this violent gang was alive and well in Central Florida. And I want to show you, this is Alexis Benavides, and I'm going to introduce him to you in a minute. This is his gun. I want to tell you that these folks came across the border illegally. I want to give you details. This started with 32 cases that we worked, and there were 4 cases worked by other agencies. And it was with them stealing high-end liquor. But it started out something as minor as grabbing beer at convenience stores, and it elevated to robbery. And then not only was there a robbery here, but we worked with Osceola County because during the process of this in Osceola County, they committed robbery with a firearm. It's a violent group. So how did we come into contact with these folks? Through Public's Organized Retail Crime Investigation Unit, who noticed a trend of people stealing high-end liquor from them. And during the process of us investigating this, we determined that they were also stealing from Sam's and Walmart, the same trend. We also learned that other agencies had made 4 arrests along the way. And I really want to underscore and highlight the Lakeland Police Department, because when they went to Sam's in the city of Lakeland to steal, they actually robbed the clerk, injuring her hand. They had loaded this high-end liquor into a basket and were trying to leave with it. She tried to stop them. They literally ran into her, injured her hand, and fled. The Lakeland Police Department immediately started an investigation, learned when they fled, they damaged their vehicle, which ended up in a crash, and then they scattered like rats on a sinking ship. They ultimately got an Uber and fled. Lakeland Police Department had suspects, and they were onto this case. They worked hand in glove with us. We explained to them there was a long-term investigation that we were doing as well, and they wanted to make sure that not only did they have a successful arrest, but that they worked with us so that we could wrap up this entire organization. But I want to stop just a minute. It's not just the Lakeland Police Department and the Sheriff's Office. It's DHS. They were involved in this investigation. The Orange and Osceola Sheriff's Office was involved in this investigation. Florida Department of Law Enforcement was involved in this investigation. The U.S. Marshals Task Force was involved in this investigation. I put holes on all of these folks, and I'm going to talk in detail about that in just a few minutes. The statewide prosecutor is working with us, and our detectives are currently working with them because we're seeking to file not only organized retail theft charges, not only robbery charges, we're seeking also to file racketeering charges, which is a 30-year minimum mandatory. We couldn't do that without the cooperation of first our state attorney's office and ultimately our Florida statewide prosecutors, who works under James Uthmeyer, our Attorney General. So when you look at this investigation and you look at all these investigations, no one agency does this. So I want to underscore and recognize each of them. Osceola, Orange, when we were picking up 3 of the 5, 2 were already in custody in Osceola County, by the way, for a robbery. They sent teams of people out to help us with surveillance and with entry to make sure that we had sufficient help to do this appropriately, because these folks are violent and they're dangerous. But once again, I want to introduce you to the different individuals that you see here. And I'll start with Samuel Charlie. He's 25. He is a documented member of this gang gang. We have designated him as a terrorist federally. He has a criminal history in this country. We don't know about his criminal history in Venezuela. He came here through El Paso in 2023, walked into the border. It was wide open. It was not difficult. He was one of the leader in these theft operations. He's unemployed, and that's a common theme you'll hear throughout the day. None of these people are working in the United States, but they're living high. So what does that tell you? They're committing crime. They came here illegally through the Biden open border, all but, I believe, one. They're robbing and stealing from those of us in the United States who behave. And at the end of the day, we didn't have to search far for him because he was already in the Osceola County Jail, charged with a robbery that occurred during the period of time we were investigating this organized retail theft group. Then there was Ramon Luna. He's 26. He is an associate. So why do we call him an associate? Because he has not been certified yet, but he's running with these gang members. When we finish our investigations and we finish working with the feds, we anticipate that all of these folks will be documented as gang members. Only 2 are, but he's an associate of theirs now. Interestingly enough, even though they claim not to have known each other, just when he came through the same month, September 2023, in El Paso, illegally. And at the end of the day, you're going to see pictures at the end of them partying. They've got time to steal, they've got time to rob, they've got time to party in this country, all while they're here illegally, all while they were allowed to just walk into this country. Then there's Aldemaro Mendoza. He's 26. He is also an associate. Now, he's the exception. He came in 2016 as a Detroit Tiger minor league prospect. He didn't make it. He didn't even make it to the minor leagues, but he was a prospect when he was brought here. And guess what? He failed to deport. So while he had a legal status in 2016, he failed to deport. Now listen, 2016 to 2025, okay, I'm not real good at math, but that's about 9 years, right? The federal government has him in deportation procedures, but in 9 years, they can't get him out of here? Come on, man. If you don't think the federal immigration system is messed up, here's your sign. All the while, he wasn't hard to find because he was in the Osceola jail for robbery. That's right. Charlie and Mendoza together robbed a person at gunpoint in Osceola County, neither of which should have been here. Then there's Darwin's Leon. He's 28. He's also an associate. He crossed in December of 2021 at El Paso. There was a warrant for removal for him. But despite that warrant for removal, he was here wandering around, committing robberies, committing organized theft, partying. We also know that he was in Aurora, Colorado at the time of the takeover of the apartments. We cannot, and I underscore, we cannot tie him directly to the TDA that was doing the takeover, but he was there during that time period, and he was an associate, and he's running with them. He's also showed up in other areas of the country. So is he employed? Of course, none of them are employed, because why bother working when you can come here illegally and just steal from those of us in this country? Then there's Alexis Benavides, who's 27. He's a documented TDA member. He's also, I might highlight, currently a suspect in a murder in New Mexico. But he's also been to Illinois. You know that state that thinks you ought to protect illegal immigrants? Maybe there are other suspected murderers in Illinois they want to protect. I mean, just thinking out loud. He's supposed to be higher up in the organization. And when I asked, what does higher up mean? They just said, well, I said, is he a leader? Is he a boss? No, he's just well respected and higher up in the organization. So when did he come across? August 2023 at El Paso once again. So while he's got a criminal history in Illinois, we don't know what their criminal histories are out of the country, but he's pending a federal warrant for removal. So at the end of this operation, we have these 5 people who are in this country illegally. And not only are they in this country illegally, they're not working, they're not pretending to work, but they're stealing. One of my detectives, and by the way, my detectives are the very best, and this is just one more example of their brilliant work and their relationships with other federal, state, and local law enforcement and prosecuting groups, said they continued as the investigation went on and we tried to tie them together. They continued to become more violent and more violent and more violent. Now we know there should be one map here that shows the state of Florida and the different areas. So regardless, we don't know what all they did in Illinois. We don't know what all they did for sure in New Mexico. But what we do know is the whole time they're here, they're committing crime. And that is just one more example of that. So I want to share something with you. I want to share, Ramon Luna, you see some of them are smiling here. But I want to focus another picture of Ramon Luna. You see, it's not such a happy time. Life as he knew it is over. Is he crying because he can't steal from Americans anymore? Is he crying because he can't rob people in the middle of the night anymore? Is he crying because he can't rip off high-end liquor? This is the end of the road for him and his companions. I hope he has his traveling clothes on, because we want to charge them with racketeering and send them to state prison for a very long time and then deport them. Now, some would say, why don't you just deport them and not spend any more taxpayers' money on them? Well, first off, if you deport them, there's no guarantee that they won't try to find their way back. And there's no guarantee that we won't be dealing with them again in murder, robbery, or theft just as they make their way here. So he's going to be locked up for a long time. We know that 4 of the 5 of these folks came across during the Biden era of totally open borders. You've heard me stand here before and say we don't have a broken immigration policy or a border policy. We have one that's non-existent. This is the kind of people that are coming across. At one point in time, this rascal got on his hands and knees after we arrested him, and he was begging. He's not so bad. Now look, here's the guns they like to carry as they torment people in the street. But he's not such a big bad guy when he's locked up. Maybe he's having visions of El Salvador prisons at some point in time in his future. We know that sometimes 2 of them, sometimes 4 of them, sometimes all 5 of them did these grabs at the same time as they would enter and rob and steal. We know 2 of them, as I said, robbed at gunpoint. But they're not smiling anymore, you see? They're crying. They were smiling during the Trump era. I mean, during the Biden era. They were smiling when they came across. I think we have a picture, another picture of that too, of some of their smiling and their partying. You see, they came across illegally. They were stealing. They were partying. They weren't working. They weren't adding anything to this country. And then you see how cool they are as they sent their pictures back to their buddies in Venezuela and how they bragged about being here. And at the end of the day, they thought it was real cool. We're bad dudes. And they're playing people for a fool. I like to think about, who is it, Van Hollen, that just went to visit this illegal in prison, okay? Well, let me tell you something, Senator Van Hollen. You come here to visit these guys, you'll be talking to them through a glass. There won't be any handshaking. There won't be any politicking. These are criminals, and they're dangerous. And when are we going to figure it out as a nation? These people don't belong here. I'm thankful that President Trump said enough is enough. I'm thankful that, when he came here, all of those smiles turned to cries. They know it's coming. We're out arresting people. Right now, I think today I have about 70 or 72 on ice holes in the county jail. Make no mistake about it. You come here illegally, we bump into you, we're going to enforce the law. We're going to notify ICE. We also, because of the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis and our legislature with current legislation where they provided enhancements, we have enhanced all the levels of those we have charged. So thank you, Governor DeSantis. Thank you, Florida legislature. Ben Albritton, our president of the Senate. Daniel Perez, our Speaker of the House. Thank you all for giving us the tools to keep the people of Florida safe. So my last editorial comment, for those of you across the nation that think this is okay, why don't you find you some violent gang members that we have also designated as terrorists and take them into your home. Let them sleep in the bed next to your children. Let them drive your car, illegally, by the way. Let them live with you, because when you ignore these people and you think it's okay for them to be in this country, they are tormenting and terrorizing and stealing and robbing and murdering people.